Okay, so this is my L405 Range Rover. Now, this has a bit of a problem. It's got a big problem actually. It's got no clocks. So basically what happened is we had a few issues and I couldn't establish where they were coming from. I thought maybe it might be a faulty cluster. So I took the old cluster out, we got a new one for it to be cloned. I sent it off to a company in Leicester, and they actually reverse cloned them. So they cloned the information off the donor onto the original. So it means that the cluster and the ECU are out of sync, and when that is the case, it means the car won't start, which is a big problem because this car weighs 2.5 tons and I can't get off my drive. Now there might be another way around it or whatever, but the company aren't being very forthcoming. So what we've had to do, or what we'll be doing today, let's say, will be changing a full ECU kit. So it's a new cluster, ECU, keys, transmitters, receivers, whatever, fuse boxes, body control modules, and a steering column. Now we'll start probably in here because some of these things will be easy enough to change, and yeah, I think that should be pretty straightforward. The one thing we are going to do first though is disconnect the batteries. There's one battery here which runs all of your electronic devices, and then there's another battery underneath the boot here which starts the car. So we'll disconnect those and then start getting these body controlled units in. Okay, so for this bit all you got to do is remove this cap. Might be a bit difficult with one hand. That's broke a bit. Anyway, so just push that up there, and then you just need a 10mm spanner and disconnect the terminal. And I'm just going to put a glove over the terminal to stop it from potentially touching the terminal and the battery, and providing the car with 12 volts. Okay, so when you take your spare wheel out, there's going to be this foam, what do you call it, dampener, protector, and there's your battery down there. So I'm just going to disconnect the negative terminal this time, and again I'm just going to put a glove over it, and then that's everything that we need to do, I think, under there. So I can probably put this spare back in there, and the sort of boot base gives me something to somewhere to step really when I'm working in this area here, replacing these modules. So I'll just do that now. Okay, so first what I want to do is just figure out where all this stuff is. ECU underneath the bonnet, easy enough. Cluster, I'm aware of that now. The keys and transmitters and things like that, I need to figure that out. I think someone did say that they were in the tailgate, but I've got to check because there's loads of people who just throw comments out on forums and stuff and they actually don't know anything that's going on. Okay, so the fuse box, that's passenger footwell behind the glove box. This body control module and this one, we can see them right there. These two, I'm not too sure. We'll figure that out when we get to it. Right, so what I'm going to do, this body control module here, you see we've got these clips. What I'm going to do is just mark them with a white pen. So it'll be like 1, I'll just do a dot, 2 dots, 3 dots, 4 dots, 5 dots. And then we know what order that they go back in. Because I'm going to disconnect them, and then I'm hopefully going to remove this and all of this sort of sound insulation. And then we'll get behind here, which will give us access to this one here, which is that one. And then I'm just wondering if the other body control module is behind there, but if it's not, I'm sure we'll find it later on. Okay, so these are actually color coded, so I don't need to do that. All I need to do is just take a photo of it, or make this video, I suppose, for you guys. But yeah, just take lots of photos as you're going around, and then you can work through these things. Okay, now those are off. It's just 10 mils. Looks like 2 10 mils that are holding that on, so I'll loosen those off and get that module out. Okay, now that's out of the way, you'll just need to disconnect these two. This is a fibre optic link, so just be careful with that. You just there's a little tab there you can squeeze. and this one is pretty self-explanatory. There's just another tab there, and that will disconnect everything from this module here. Looks like there's another 2 or 3 10mm on there, so I'll just get that off, and then we'll put the new ones back, connect everything up, and I think that's everything on that side done. And then we'll move to the front of the vehicle, which will be a little bit more challenged because we got to do this fuse board here, which I think is going to be quite tricky, and then obviously the steering column. Okay, and then another thing that I want to do, I want to test all these fuses before I put the new part in, because what I don't want to do is assume that they're all okay, put everything back together, and then we've still got issues, and then I don't, you know, this is a very simple task that could cause me, you know, a day of work in the future. So all you got to do is just get a multimeter like that, put it on voltage DC, oh no, apologies, put it on continuity, and then I think if I select that, it should beep, and then all you've got to do is, see these 2 pins here, you're just going to put black on there and then the red on there, or it doesn't really matter because we're only doing continuity. See, that fuse already looks a little bit damaged, so I might replace that one anyway. But yeah, you just run those along, you'll hear a beep, and if there's a beep, it means there's not a break between here and here, which is exactly what we want. So I'm going to do that with everything on that module and then everything on the fuse board, and then once I'm happy that all of those fuses are good, then we'll install them in the car. Okay, so that's the new unit in there, so we're just going to get that plug, line it up, a nice satisfying click, and then the same with the, it's hard to show, we can show that, this is the fibre, or the bus, I'll call it, but basically it's just a fibre optic loop, and then if this breaks, there's a lot of problems. Okay, so there's the units back in there, and then stupidly I didn't realise that it does actually just say there brown, white, blue, green, grey, so we don't need to mark anything at all really, because these will just align to those now. So we'll get those back in, and that's everything done in the boot, I believe, until I figure it out later. Okay, so for your ECU, it's just on passenger side here. There'll be this bit of trim, it's just held in with these plastic screws. Once you remove that, the ECU is here. It's got these 2 connectors holding it in. Now, from what I can see, there's 2, looks like 10mm bolts there that we're just going to remove. Is there anything on the other side? I'm not too sure. I'm going to sort of take those 2 off and disconnect it and see if it slides out. Okay, so I've just removed those, and then there's some cushioning here that I've had to remove, because looking down here, yeah, we've got another 2 10mm, so I'll just remove those now, and then the ECU should just slide out of its carrier. Okay, for the ECU, you just got to disconnect these 2 cables. Now I did start disconnecting the ECU from the carrier there, those nuts that I've removed. You don't actually have to do that, you can just loosen up this one and that one, and then it'll all slide out with the carrier, and then we can just replace, we can just swap the 2 ECUs over. Okay, so that's the ECU out with the carrier. There's our new one. So like I said, I've loosened up these bolts, so that one should just go out, and our new one should line up spot on. Alright, so all we've got to do now is put our 4 bolts back in, slide that back in the car, and then tighten up these 2. Okay, so just tighten these 2 up then, and then I'll put the 2 cables back onto ECU, and then we just got to put that bit of trim back on there, and that's everything that we need to do under the bonnet. Okay, so with that done, what I'm going to do now is test all these fuses, and we're going to get this in under the dash. Now this looks like a pig of a job, so I've been putting it off. I've done all the easy stuff up to now, so I'm going to do that. Then we'll probably start on the steering column, and then it's just going to be the cluster, which is the really easy. I mean, everything's already out, so that should be easy enough for me. And then these two, don't know where they are. I'll do some googling, I'll figure it out. Oh yeah, and then obviously the keys. Okay, when I said this was going to be a pig of a job, I meant it. So that's the board we've got to replace, and then that's the glove box. The issue I've got is the car's really hard up against this hedge. But looking at this, the fuse box goes like that in a car, so we know that there's going to be two fixings here, and then they just look like they push in. So if we can get these two out, I think it can just I can pull it down and then it'll slide out. So first things first, we'll remove these connectors from the fuse box, and then yeah, when I figure this out, and when I might have to remove some more trim, we'll look at how we've done that. Okay, so looking under here, bit tight, but we've got a 6mm there, and there's a few more. Yeah, so there's one here, and I think there's one on the back there. So we'll get those 6mm bolts out. This plastic panel should drop down, and that should give us access to that fuse box. Okay, so with those 3 bolts removed, they're actually 7mm. I'll just have to disconnect that clip. You can see here that it does give us access to where we need to be. You just see that bolt there, and then I think there'll be another one there, and that's the bottom of the fuse board. So we should be able to loosen them up and then bring the fuse box out this way. Okay, so I've just released this clip here. There's a few more connectors we need to take off the bottom of that, but I think the real issue that we've got is this bit of trim here, which I think needs to come off. So there's a T20 holding the boot release handle, and then I'm hoping if we can take the handle off, we can just get rid of this bit of trim, and that should give me better access to where we need to be. Okay, so I've got this panel off here. So like I said, I just took the T20 off the handle, and then there's these clips here, so it'll pull this way. I've actually damaged one of the clips, but who cares? I've got a car that can drive. And there we go. So will it focus? There we go. So we just need to release those two, get all the connectors off it, and then it should just slide down. Okay, so once you've disconnected these 3 out of the front, which is pretty easy, the unit will drop down a bit, and then we've got to disconnect these 3 on the back. So what that looks like, I don't know if you'll be able to see if we can see that. Yeah, there they are. So you see they got these like black plastic tabs. We've got to lift those tabs in an upwards motion, and that'll release those connectors. Okay, it was a bit of a struggle, but those 3 are off the back, which will release the fuse box, which is good. So we'll swap it over. Now, I don't actually know if it was required to replace this, but it did come as part of the ECU kit, so I'm just going to swap out everything, whether it's required or not, because I really want to get this car started, and you know, hopefully it'll help someone along the way. You know, so it makes your life a little bit easier. Okay, so that was a bit of a chew, but it's back in there now. So yeah, let's just sort of get this trim back up here with the footwell light, and then this trim along here and there. And I think that's everything done on this side. There might be another module under the seat. I'm going to do some googling now and figure out where those remaining ones are. But I think our next task will be the steering column and cluster, because that looks like quite a big job. Okay, so this is the new steering column. Looking at it, we've got 2 bolts here, which we can see in the car here, and there's one on the other side. And then it looks like we've got another 2 fixings there, which are going to be difficult to get to. So I think a lot of this trim's going to have to come off, but what I'm going to do is just sort of work away at it. I'm going to leave the steering wheel on, I think at the moment, just swap that over. We can probably start it without the steering wheel on. I don't think there's anything we need to do because the start button's over there. So yeah, I'll just see how I get on. Okay, so I've just dropped this panel down from the steering wheel, and it's just exposed what looks like our key receiver. So I'm just going to swap those over whilst I've did that, and then we'll get back onto the steering column. Okay, so we're doing pretty well. We just got to do the stop-start button. That's easy enough. I think it's already hanging off. And then I've got two modules, and then I think this smaller one is the keyless entry. I think that might be in a door, but I'm not entirely sure. So let's just go back into car. Right, so what I've done is just disconnected all the connectors from the steering wheel. It's really straightforward, and they're just hanging down there. There's our keyless entry, so I can swap that over easy enough later. As for the steering column, okay, so we've got access to these two here, but we know there's another two further back. So what I'm going to try and do is take some of this out. Hopefully we should be able to get to it that way then. I don't want to end up taking out the whole dash. It'll be an absolute nightmare. So yeah, let's just see how that works out. Okay, so these Torx are T40 and they're really tight, so make sure you get a T40 or not a T30, otherwise they're going to round. So I'm just going to loosen these up now and see if that gives us any wiggle room. Okay, so I just sort of felt around in there, and it looks like the head of the Torx bit comes from underneath. So what I've done, there's another 3 6mm bolts under there. I've just got that bit of trim off, and then I'm going to just have a look and see if I can see those bolts. Maybe I can get a few extensions to them and just sort of save me from removing this entire dash. Okay, so I can see where I need to get to, and unfortunately taking off that little panel's not going to cut it, so this one's got to come off. So there's 2 10mm bolts, and then it looks like this air duct here is just cable tied on, so I'm just going to cut that cable tie, and then I think this whole panel then should just pull away, and we should have access to those bolts. Okay, so with this pulled down a little bit, I can actually get an extension on the bolt. You can't really see there, but I've got an extension on it, so I'm going to loosen that one on that side, and then hopefully I can do the same on the other. But this trim like clips into this panel, and I just can't be bothered taking it off, to be honest with you. So I'll do what I can without taking unnecessary panels off, because it's a very cold December day and I don't want to be outside for much longer than I have to be. So unfortunately I had to take that little bit of trim off at the bottom there, but it did give me full access to the bolts. Now everything's loose. I've just got to make sure I got rid of all these connectors, make sure all those are disconnected, and then this should just pull out. I'm just going to pull it out with the steering wheel, put it all back together. I think I can go for a start without the steering wheel. I just want to make sure that everything works. I think, what have we got left to do? Okay, so we've got, I think that's like keyless entry. That is arc, so what's that, anti-roll bar controls, I think, something like that. Don't know where that is, figure that out. What's this one? God knows, absolutely no idea. Anyway, I'll do some googling, we'll figure out what that goes, get the stop started. Yeah, and fingers crossed, go for a start. I mean, it's, what time is it now? It's probably about 11:30, so I've been on this about 3.5 hours. So not bad going, really. Okay, so what we're looking at here now is the final bolt that's holding the steering column in. So this is just like the shaft, the sort of coupling to the car. I don't know if you can see, where are we? Anyway, there it is. Yeah, so I need to just get a looks like a female Torx bit that's going to go onto there, we can loosen that off, and then all this should just come out. Then we'll put the new one on, cluster in those remaining units, and hopefully go for a start. Okay, so I've just sort of moved the steering wheel out the way a little bit. So that's the bolt we're trying to get to. It is obscured by this sort of solenoid, I think. So what I'm going to do is just loosen this up, get out of the way, and then I'm hoping a E40 maybe will be the one to get it off. If not, I've got a bigger set, so we'll do that and it should uncouple. Yeah, and then really hopefully it should just be a case of reverse order to get everything back in. Yeah, so with that removed, it's an E40. Let's loosen that up. So yeah, hopefully that's all that's holding it in now. Yep, so with that that bolt removed, that's the steering column, steering wheel off. Just give it a good pull, reverse order, just get everything back in. Okay, so I've got that back in position, got that bolt in, and cabled everything back up. Now the issue I've got is the steering lock is stuck on this, so I can't rotate this to get it in because I need to move the wheels, and it's really difficult to do so. So what I'm going to do is hope that the steering lock releases when we get the ignition on, and then I can sort of tighten this up, get it into position, and then obviously put the steering wheel back on and all of this trim and etc. Okay, so new stop start. There's the connector, there's the old connector. Literally push those together. That's going to go there. Our new key is here. So yeah, we'll get the cluster in next, and then move on to those modules. Okay, so the cluster, it's pretty easy really. There's one connection there for your bus, another one here, not too sure there's 4, and then a main connector there. So on, it's basically this part of the loom. So there's your main connector, the little blue one goes to the blue, and then there's 2 wires is your bus connection. So we'll just push those in the back, and then I'm just going to leave that supported there, and yeah, we'll move on to the other bits. Like I said, I'm just going to try and get a start today, just so I can move the car. I'll move it around the rear sort of access to my house, and then it allows me more space to get all this trim back together, and there's a few other little jobs that I want to do as well, so I'll probably make a few more videos after this. Okay, so I've just found where this is located. It's in the boot, and it is here, just there. So that is the passenger side, just about there on the underside of it. So just drop that out. It's probably another 2 10mm bolts, and then we'll replace that one, and then it just leaves us with this and the arc. I'm trying to still figure out where this arc module is. I'll do some more googling. Alright, we've got it down there, so I'll just try and release some of these clips. Oh, it's impossible to do with one hand. Anyway, yeah, I'll swap these over. New module's there, goes back over there, and goes up there. Job's a good one. Okay, so I'm trying to find out where this RF receiver goes. I think the problem is there's that many different models and years and changes and things like that with Land Rover, is that these could be in a number of locations. So I've just been checking all of the usual locations, and then someone said on a forum that if you remove the, I don't know what you call it, the headlining control panel where all your lights are, that it'd be in there, but there's nothing in there. I've got the motor there for the electric sunroof thingamajig. A few other modules that are on the board, but it's not there, so I'll have to keep looking. Right, L405 2015 RF receiver. Where is it? Lots of people saying, lots of people don't know. Okay, go to the back of the car, peel down the headliner, and you'll be able to see it there. You should just be able to unplug the old one, put the new one in, and then it should be good to go. Yep, so I found it now. It's actually located on the headliner, just there. So I'm hoping I can just sneak my hand in there, swap these over. Right, so that just leaves the one, this arc module. Absolutely no idea where this is, but we've got everything else in, and I think the car will start without this. So let's go for a start. So what I'm going to do is put the battery on there, and the battery under the floor here, and let's see if we can get any life into it. Okay, this is looking better. We got some life on the dash and life here, so I guess we just got to go for a start, haven't we? Oh bloody hell. Yeah, we got power, that's good. Less mileage than the one that came out, so I'm going to have that mapped, otherwise it's going to be like a mileage discrepancy. Right, let's go for a start. So we've changed the button over, and let's go for it. Oh, it absolutely works. Oh, this is amazing. This is a great feeling. Yeah, I basically thought I'd written my car off. You know, up until this moment, I didn't know what to do. Once this cluster won't work and no one could fix me, you know, I thought, well, fix the car, sorry, not fix me. No one can fix me. But yeah, I basically thought that it was written off. We buy any car offered me £1,000 for this car. This is a £20,000 car. So without it running, there's a lot of issues, you know, cost you a lot of money. So yes, it's running, this is great. There's gonna be a lot of faults because we need to change that ARC module. I don't know where that is. I'm gonna keep looking for it, but I should be able to now move this into place. The steering lock should be off. I can tighten that up and get all this trim back together. The car runs, everything's good. A few little faults, we'll iron those out. Oh, it's actually running again. This is amazing. Yeah, long story short, I fucked up, totally foobar, but we got it back together again. It's all good. New ECU kit's in, all the modules are changed. Happy days, just got to put it back together. Yeah, so now it's running. I was just able to move this back into position, so just going to put these bolts in, and then the other two that are underneath there, tighten it up, make sure it's real tight because you don't want this dropping off whilst you're driving. I'll put some of this trim back together, and I'll be able to move the car, which is a really great success. Okay, so we need to get the steering wheel off. Now for me it's going to be a little bit easier because it's off the car, but for you, what you want to do is turn your wheel so you see this slot here. Now obviously this slot for me is broken because I've just done it to release the airbag. So what you do is you're going to push a screwdriver in there, and you'll feel like a clip. And what I did is I kept one hand on here and then one on the clip, and then it just pulls the airbag off. And then what we've got to do then is push the airbag in this direction. It should just come out. I'm going to struggle to do this with one hand, but yeah, that's how it's done. Right, so that's literally just come off now. So we've got one connector there and one connector there, and then we've got a Torx bolt in the middle, which is holding the steering wheel to the steering column, and I think that's all there is to it. So what I'm going to do, take the airbag off now. Obviously when you're working with airbags, make sure it's dead, make sure that, you know, your batteries are disconnected from your car, because you don't want this thing going off in your face. So I'm going to take this off now. I'm going to loosen up this, and hopefully the steering wheel just comes off the column in one go. I might need to loosen these. Let's see how far we get with it. And yeah, we'll put it back on the car, and then we should be able to move this car around the back of my house, and then I can just sort of put the trim on and figure out where this arc, this sort of arc body control, I think it's sway bars, isn't it? It's active sway bars. I need to figure out where that is, but that's probably going to take me another few days because it's getting cold, gonna run out of light soon, and we just got to get the bare essentials back together so we can get this car moved. Okay, because it's off the car, it's going to be difficult to get leverage on it, so I've just got my big impact. This is a T50, so let's see if this gets it off. Easily. Bloody love that impact. It cost me a few £100, but definitely worth it. Okay, so yeah, that's disconnected from there. I'm going to loosen up these are 8mm, by the looks of things. What else have we got on there? I'll loosen those up. I'll see if this slides off after I've done that. Okay, those screws were, I think they were 7mm. Yeah, they were 7mm. And yeah, it's just all come off in one sort of piece. I don't want to disconnect any cabling, so I'm just going to sort of pick it up with two hands, slot it on the new steering column, which now is all fully uncoupled, and yeah, just bolt everything back up. We'll put a bit of Loctite on the bolt that's come out of, I don't know if I've misplaced it, but it'll turn up the steering wheel that goes onto the steering column. We'll put a bit of Loctite on that and nip it up with the impact, because that seems to make easy work of that. Here it is. Yeah, and then we should be good to move the car, which is great news. Okay, so like I said, I just grabbed everything with both hands and just sort of put it back on. Now this shaft seems to be a little bit worn. There is a bit of play in it, so I'm going to put some Loctite on this. Got my Loctite ready. Now what you want to do is make sure this marker aligns with your steering wheel perfectly, otherwise your steering wheel is going to be a little bit out. And I have driven in cars like this before, and what happens over time, it drives you absolutely insane. So make sure it's nice and central to with your wheels, and make it central with that. So we'll put Loctite on now. I'll nip it up with a gun, and then I'm gonna have to disconnect the batteries again just before we connect anything up to the steering wheel, because that's a live airbag, so we don't want that going off unnecessarily. I don't really think that it will do that, but you know, let's take some precautions. You know, you don't want to get this far and then have all the airbags go off on you, you know. Okay, so that's all gunned up. So all we need to do now is we're going to push the airbag down and then in, and that will do that. And then we've just got to connect up the steering wheel. I think there's a connection there. Was there one around this side? I can't remember. But I got a load of cables down here, so I'll just plug them in, put this bottom cowl back on, and then I think I might just sort of build this back up again whilst I'm at this point. But yeah, generally quite happy with the way things have turned out today. Okay, so it's 20 to 2, and I'm going to call it a day now, so it's going to start getting dark, but that's where we're at. So just trims need to go back on, little bits of trims, nothing major. And then if we go in the boot, I've put trims back on in there, well, kind of, but it's back on. Let's see, yeah, so what is it, 20 to 2, I've been out here since 8 o'clock, so I say really it's a day's work for a professional to do this. So you know, if you ever do get quoted this at a garage, you know, I wouldn't really allow any more than 8 hours to carry this out, so don't get ripped off. Okay, cheers.